Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill, and I've got you a blank screen there. Okay, so now we're back. No, this isn't even the one we want. Here we go. We'll start with this. And I don't need these. I'm AJ O'Neill. This is Beyond Code Live, and we're now closing up on like a bajillion hours of this blog project as it goes through its iterations. So last time was spending way too much time on a sub project, passphrase.js, to be able to generate base 2048 passphrases and the resulting keys. And this is all kind of related to Bitcoin technology type stuff. But don't worry about that. I'm not trying to scam you. It's just it happened to be one useful technology. So anyway, here we are. We have GitHub sign-in implemented. We have a way to encrypt keys. Now I need to take that whole base 2048 passphrase bit that I did. I need to incorporate that back into here, and I need to have some sort of settings tab, I think, where we can show that. So I think I'm going to add a settings tab. I'm going to see how this pans out. So first, we have a new dependency now. I have, let's see, where should we put this? Probably put this here. Passphrase.js. All right. And that's straight from the repo that we were working on last time. It's now linked in here. So if I refresh this, let me put this up here. Okay, let me see. I don't know where I want that to go. I'm going to keep it over here for now. Anyway, hello and welcome. Let me know who you are, what your interest is in Node or this blog project, or what it is that caused you to join the stream. I do have both. Well, actually, all three now. I've got Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube comments and chat. I can see, although Facebook, I don't think I can respond to. I think I only get to respond to the Twitch and the YouTube. So anyway, let me go ahead. I think let's test out where we're at. So we can do this sign in. We get a logout button, and everything should have been posted to the server. Now, right now we have this problem that there's no way to update these drafts. So we can post new ones, but we can't update old ones. I kind of want to tackle complete tackling the encrypted key problem before I go further with the syncing updates problem. And the reason for that being just because it's the problem of how do I get an encryption key between computers without storing it on a server is the more, I guess, pressing, important problem to my ultimate cause, because this really isn't just about the blog. It's about other things that I'm working on too, and this is a place for me to experiment with this. How do we get encryption keys from one place to another? Anyway, so what we should have seen in the network tab. Oh, interesting. So two of these came back. I would have expected only one. I wonder how we got two back. Let's see what this request looked like. Request looks like what I expect it to. There's a timestamp there. And I wonder, what do we see in the console? I think I have these printed out. Oh, interesting. That kind of makes sense a little bit. So it seems that there is maybe an untitled post that is syncing, although I'm not really clear. Let's see. What's the UUID on this? And what's the UUID on this one? Whoops. I'd kind of like to see if that UUID matches anything else that's in local storage. I'm going to go check that out right now. I can't update items yet. That makes sense. Where's my storage tab? Application, local storage. And what we're looking for is anything that matches. Oh, do we have two things that match this? Nope. Okay. So I'm not super clear on how we got that, but it doesn't matter. Might have been just a goofo while doing development. But it looks like the only get the last thing that was updated bit is working, so I'm happy about that. And this is going to be rough to do without any refactoring, because now we need kind of a, I don't know, a tab model. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. Let's do tabs.switch, or maybe tab isn't right because we've got browser tabs. Meh. Let's say tabs.load. It's going to be a function, and it's going to take, what will it take? I guess it's going to take an element. I think that's how we're doing these things. No, an event. It's taking an event, and then the element is probably going to be ev.target. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking I need to take a step back. Let me get into the HTML, because that's where the first part of this happens. So we have posts, post, and now we need to have settings. And we need this to be clickable. I don't want it to look buttony though. And really, let's call this JS tab settings, maybe. Probably should use the data attribute rather than using classes for some of this stuff. I want to have post. So here's the thing. I want it to behave like a link if and only if it's not currently active. So let's see what happens when we do this. I think that if you just surround something in an A, oh no, it does do something there. So we want to have a way to do text decoration none on this. And I'm wondering, I think that it would make sense to have that be a class. So we could do a.active text, was it called text decoration none? And then let's say that, oh, and this would be post. And let's say that this is active. Maybe we could have color inherit here. Let's see. So I don't want to use whatever the A color is. I want to use whatever color. There we go. Great. And yeah, so this looks perfect. So there's the active one, and then here's the unactive one. And I think what this should be, it would be really cool if we could do a not selector. So essentially select any A that doesn't have a ref attribute. I wonder if there is such a thing. CSS select without attribute. I don't know what this would be called. If you know what this would be called, please let me know. I'd really appreciate that. Because we have the attribute selector, but do we have a non-attribute selector? Attribute equals value, and you can do you can do, it's kind of similar to regular expressions. There's this special syntax for, it doesn't make any sense though, contains and begins with, not equals, is this ends with? Ends with, yeah. Has in any part. But I don't know if we've got something to say doesn't have or not. Wait. Begins with, start, wait. What's the difference between starts with and begins with? I'm a little confused here. Selects all elements starting with. Selects every element begins with. I don't know what the difference between those two is, but that doesn't matter because neither of them are what I need right now. Huh. How do we select all elements without a target attribute? Doesn't matter. This is a rabbit hole. Would be kind of nice though to be able to do a negative select, because then we could do property based, where, well, maybe we still can. No, we can't. Or we could do the reverse. No, we can't, because this active. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So we'll do that, and I guess we ought to go ahead and specify, let's just put it here, we're going to do href equals settings. I don't really like that. I think, let me go look up how the data property works. I think this works in browsers still. I don't know if it got deprecated. This was something that was a hot flash in the pan. It was really important for all of 5 minutes, and then some new framework came out and it was no longer important anymore. It basically came about because truth in DOM was a buzzword and jQuery was something people used. And so they gave us the ability to put data directly on in the HTML, and to store it as part of the DOM. So you wouldn't necessarily see it in the HTML. You can put it in the HTML, but you don't necessarily have to see it in the HTML. And you could use this for IDs and all sorts of stuff. And I don't know if the modern frameworks use it or if they store everything in memory state, but it was a cool little thing, a data set. Data set. Let's see. So data ref equals, this would be post. And data ref equals settings. And now we need some way to define which one should be the default, and then we need some way to have this main, let's see, data UI equals post. And then I suppose we need another one then. With data UI equals settings. Welcome to old school routing, y'all. Okay. So I see we've got a couple people that are watching in. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining in. I would be interested to know what's your name, or if that's too private, you know, because stranger danger. But what's your interest in the channel? Or just, you know, give me a wave, say hello. It's nice to be able to have a little bit of conversation and have that sense of, I don't know what to call it, because, but it's just nice. It's just nice. So if you don't mind, saying hello. I'd love to just chat with you and learn what you're doing, what you're up to. And as always, feel free to hit me up with questions. So we're going to have this section, and essentially one thing I know that I'm going to want to have in here is going to be, let me put this in. The place to show the key. That's one thing I know that I'm going to want in here. Yeah, this looks about right. Language equals text. Class equals JS passphrase. Maybe. And let's put some dots in there. How about hidden? And then we'll have a show passphrase button. And I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. But as always, anytime you have any sort of element that has interaction, something that a person could click on, essentially, you should always surround it with a label, because that gives you the ability to control its target, and at the very least makes the target just a little bit bigger, meaning the clickable area. Oh, hey, if it isn't our old friend Will. Now, Will, how come sometimes you show up as Will and sometimes you show up as a secret identity? I think you told me this once before, but I don't remember. Unexpected closing tag section. Oh, there we go. We need to close the pre. All right, and why is this all this way? Is this I never closed? No, the I's closed right there. Just a bug, I suppose. And then I guess really I might as well, I don't know. This is technically a header. And let's see. This is probably not going to work out at all the way that I want it to be. Really, I think I'd kind of like this to be more a text area. And let's do that. Let's make it a text area. And we'll make it, we want columns to be, I think, 25 and the rows to be 4. And this should be about right for the passphrase. And then we still want a class JS passphrase. And that should do it. I'm a weirdo. I have 2 different accounts. Sometimes it's nice to not have your name plastered all over stuff. I can never get left and right correct when I'm... Let me put this hand away. Okay, now at least I know which hand I'm controlling. Like right there. Well, I don't... Do I use my real name? Yeah, I think I do. But the reverse question is, when is it ever nice to have your name plastered all over stuff? Okay, we're going to have data UI. I think this is going to be a good way to select this that is semantic. That's what I'm going for here, is semantic HTML. And there was... I think it got dropped from the spec. Let's see. HTML client side include. Simplest way to handle HTML includes. I think if you want to have a component separate in the HTML, I think you actually can. There was some actual specification for client-side includes. But I don't know. Here we go. Proposed a discussion. This is 18. It's only 21. HTML modules discussion. Let's see if anything came of this. It looks like it's still open. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. Is it really 2021? Whatever. What do we do? Templates, people. Templates. Always layouts. This is an anti-pattern to include a header and include a footer. The reverse should be you should specify a layout and then, yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not going to dig further into that. I was just wondering what the state of things is with client-side includes, and the state of things is not. So that's good enough for me. All right. Now let's go back to this. Okay, good. I do have that there now. So what we're going to need is an init function, and the init function is going to need to find all of the data UI, well, everything that has a data UI. And maybe it should be a main, maybe it should be a section, I don't know. But we're actually going to find all of them, and we're going to loop over them. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to figure out, so these are all going to be elements. So, and they are going to have a data set, and they're all going to have a UI as part of that. So we're going to say let the name be equal to this. We're also going to get the first one and treat it specially, because well, the first one should be the default one. I think that's my opinion here. And I think that's a pretty darn good opinion. So we're going to want to select specifically where data, what was I calling that one? href. Is equal to pound name. And I think we're going to set how about this? If 0 is equal to I, we're going to do one set of things, and then with great prejudice, I'm going to introduce an else here, because generally else is a code smell, and in this particular case of what I'm about to do, this is an appropriate case for an else. I guess you could say this. You could maybe just, if switches weren't so bad, an else is basically a mini switch. It's almost, yeah, it's almost a mini switch. So if you're not using, if you wouldn't use a switch, you shouldn't use an else. I think that's almost, that's that's very nearing 100% true. I think we can do it like this if I remember correctly. So this should be right. So whatever link has this, we should do, was it classes, add class, active? I think that's how it goes. Otherwise, remove class active. Is that what it's called? Or am I going back from my jQuery days? I think if we just find any random thing here, main, add class, no, class list dot push. Is that what it is? Do we have remove? Do we have an add? We have a remove. We do have an add. Okay. It is class list. Was that with a capital L? With a capital L. Class list dot add class list dot remove. And really, I don't even know if this is the right way to go about it, because we could just set it up so when the page starts, the first one, this seems redundant. So I don't think we need to do that. But what we, maybe what I'm trying to say here is just what we don't do. So the tabs init, we shouldn't have to do anything to init the tabs, really. I don't know. Well, let's just follow this for a little bit and see. And I think there's some sort of remove adder. Is it DOM remove adder? I get confused between adder and property. Remove attribute. I think that's it, because there's a remove attribute and a remove property. No, this is not jQuery. This is a jQuery. Seriously. A jQuery. This is the fastest, most lightweight, fewest dependency jQuery alternative. A jQuery. Boop. And no, I don't actually include that as a dependency. I just copy and paste it. It's very possible to never write an else statement. You just change the way you code. You test for errors, return early, not a single else. Yes, that's what I'm advocating. In this particular case, yeah, I think that would actually work, because that's really what I want to do. Is I just want to return early. I don't need an else. Nope, this is not an exception to the rule. Because I don't, well, maybe, no. I remember why I started doing it this way, because there's going to be extra stuff that happens after this. So we're going to do something to initialize, and then we're going to continue to do things to initialize beyond just the tabs. Maybe, but we're not there yet, so I'm going to get rid of it. Anyway, this one we can do remove attribute href. Because I think what I'm going to turn this into is the switch tabs function. And so when we init, we're just going to switch tabs to the first tab. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. I need to actually just get done with the implementation and then worry about how to refactor it. I screw up sometimes where I do that. I think about refactoring something before I even have it done for the first time. And it's red-green refactor, not refactor red-green. All right. Here we are. Okay, so that should work. Let me just, Oh, and then I need to, down where I do all the inits at the bottom, I would need to do my tab.init as well. I wonder why this is feeling kind of slow. I probably should put this in a separate file. So I should have all my post stuff in a post file and all my blog stuff in a blog file and my tab stuff in a tab file. But again, I'm still not sure where all this is going to go. So I'm not ready to refactor it. Let me get rid of all this. And which one am I on? I am actually on this one. Okay. Let me make sure I've got the right one open. Okay. And let's refresh and we should see no change. Looks about right. Now let's see if this actually ran. It did not. Tab is not defined because I called it tabs there, which doesn't quite make sense because everything else I'm doing singular. So it makes sense to do that singular. All right, let's try it again. I'm not going to worry. Cannot read properties of undefined. Reading target. And what did I do here? Oh, no, we're not going to have an EV. Why did I say, yeah, we're not. Oh, because I was thinking about writing the button handler, essentially. Okay. Give it a second. Server's in the middle of restarting because it restarts every time I change a file that ends in .js, which could have excluded the public folder, but whatever, I didn't. Okay, so that is not behaving at all as expected. And I wonder, oh, post comes first, not setting. No, post does come first because post comes first. That's correct. And then post comes first there too. So what is going on here? Oh, if I is equal to, not equal to. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so that looks good. So we're on post, we're showing post, but I want to say that if I click settings, and then I don't know what the state of the art is here, but I think we could have it respond to hash change event. I think that's the state of the art, hash change event. Oh no, now I'm introducing a router. Things are getting bad. Yeah, but what do you do? So now we're going to add a hash change. And when the hash has changed, I guess we're going to do hash equals. Oh, and we also want to make sure that if there is no hash when we init. Oh, this is why. This is why I need this to be a particular way. So we're going to have a default, but then we're going to set up the hash change event, and then we're going to fire it on hash change. I'm going to look at those comments in just a second, sorry. And then we're going to fire off on hash change with location.hash. And it is so this is one of those things. I don't know where the canonical place for this is. I think it's there's window.location, which I think is also equal to window.document.location, but I'm not sure. Yeah, they are equal. So I think the canonical location is window.document.location. I'm not sure why it's represented in both places. Anyway, if I'm writing an else or if I'm writing an if statement and another if statement, then I'm doomed. Very well said. Very well said. But the other question is there any case in which you are not doomed? You know, that's one of the things we got to consider here. Maybe if you're breathing, you're doomed, you know? Okay. So we're going to have an on hash change. And then I forget how the on hash change. Let's see. They should have put a better example here. This is one of those things where I think they got rid of the edit button. Yeah, you can no longer edit MDN anymore, which really stinks. Because sometimes I would go in and I would edit MDN. Let's see if can I edit it if I'm signed in or something? Do I need to make the page wider to get the edit button? I think they announced that they were closing MDN. It's now in archive only mode. It's no longer being maintained. If I'm not sure if that's 100% correct. But it would be nice to see. I guess you don't get anything. The hash is just going to be at least a £. So you just check and then you take the appropriate action, it sounds like. Okay. Well, let's do this. On the event that the hash has changed, we will go over. This is not even the right way to go about it. All right, in the event that the hash has changed, we're going to take the hash and blah, 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 blah. Do I even want to do this? Let me think through. I don't think I should do this function like this. I think I should define tab dot, we'll just call it change for now. And then we're going to give it a name. And we're going to say if not location dot hash dot slice 1, or if we want to be more precise, let's see. All right, we're going to register the hash change listener. We're going to let hash equals location dot hash dot slice, and then we're going to check to see if the hash is an empty string. If the hash is an empty string, if the hash is not an empty string, then we're going to run the on hash change function and return. Otherwise, we're going to set location.hash equals, and then this is where we go get the very first data UI. And obviously I could just use a single selector, but I'm using the double selector or the multiple selector to be clear that I'm expecting to get an array back. And this is going to have a data set, and then it's going to have a UI. So maybe I should just call this as such, because that starts to look confusing. And then we can just call this name. So I guess I really didn't need to do, there we go, that's sufficient. So if, yeah, that's good. All right, so now we need to write how we change the tab. So this is tab name. So if name is equal to tab name, then we want to get the tab link and probably the tab body. Let's do that. Well, I guess the tab body is going to be this one here. So then this is tab link, and we already have tab body. So if not tab link dot class list dot includes active, because if I'm not mistaken, you can actually add the class list multiple times, or you can add the class multiple times and it'll add it multiple times, which is kind of weird. Anywhere where HP is a non-zero number, you are not doomed. I think I told you I played the original Final Fantasy this year, and I was quite impressed. I played the Game Boy Advance version of it. So it had Super Nintendo-esque graphics. But I was very impressed. It was quite fun. It has withstood the test of time, in my opinion. There's a couple things about it that kind of stunk. The random generator was a little bit wonky, but for the most part, it was really, really good. Anyway, so this is going to be the tab link, is anywhere where we've got that set. So if it does not have the tab link as active, then only in that case, then are we going to set the tab link dot class list dot, I think it was add. Was that what it was? Or was it push? I think it did have an add. Let me try this again. Main dot class list dot add. Right? Yes. Okay. And maybe I should double check, because maybe it was class name is the one where you can get it in there a bunch of times, and maybe this add is actually a set. Let me just check that out real quick before I put this conditional code in. Let me just test. So A, B, C, D, F, A, B, C. So now let's look at the class list. Okay, so it does behave as a set, so it's totally okay for me to not worry about checking the includes. So we're going to switch it to active. We're going to remove the href attribute so that it is non-clickable. What else are we going to do? And this may actually need to be the reverse of this. We'll see. I think there was something else that we needed to do. I think we need to set tab body dot hidden equals false. And then for the rest of these, maybe I do want a data tab. No, I've got this. Okay. So the rest of these are going to be the inverse. Well, not even that. Because we're going to do tab body hidden is true. And then we're going to do a similar thing, but we're going to do it for, oops. And this is wrong. This actually should be something more akin to data tab, not data ref. But I'm going to leave it for the minute so I can just move forward and experiment. So what I really should do here is I should put in a request animation frame. See, this would be kind of weird. What would be really awesome to do, I'm going to have to take a look at the comments here, but what would be really awesome to do, and I have to actually prove that this has a positive benefit first, but would be really awesome to do is only put DOM changes in request animation frame. If it actually stacks up the DOM changes on request animation frame, you basically could get infinite performance even with DOM manipulation, because the DOM manipulation would be ignored if it's during the request animation frame. But I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it actually works that way. But it seems like it should. Okay. So for each of these, we're going to have a tab link. And then same thing here. We're going to get tab name is equal to tab link. And this should not be L at this point. This should be now tab body. And this should be tab link dot dataset dot href dot slice 1. And then we would do the same thing here. Say tab link dot remove active tab link dot href equals, and then this should be this should be idempotent. And then let me think. Switch to the visible tab. Should have some sort of animation for that as well. Okay, let me look at the comments here. The class list should totally be a set structure. Yes, it is. So you like turn-based tactics games? I don't know, maybe. I like Final Fantasy. See structure comment because you said it might be possible to add a class multiple times. RAF. I don't know if anybody else calls request animation frame RAF, but it's rough to say request animation frame, and especially rough to type it. So I'd rather RAF than get rough, you know? So we're going to remove active, and we're going to set the ref to the tab name. And we don't need a tab link hidden. We need essentially, we just ignore it because we already set it up here. So all the other ones, that's what we do to them to make them inactive. Okay, so let's see what happens if we just refresh on this. Something's broken. That's okay. On hash change is not defined. Let's go check that out. Oh, because we need to do tab dot change, and I guess tab dot hash change. But we don't get a name here, so name should be like that. I think that's how it should work. So let's try this again. And good. Now we're at post. What if we go to settings? Nothing happened. Interesting. So some stuff didn't go quite right. Data href is settings. But what we should have whoops. Let's try this again. Hey! Excellent. There we go. Cool. All right, now this is all super wonky. I don't know how that turned out so terribly bad. But maybe because it needs to be placed in a form or something. And this one, where was that text area at? Let me go back to the HTML real quick. Text area. It's not the one I want. This is also not the one I want. Also not the one I want. There we go. Hidden. That'll work. And then I think what maybe we need to do here is just edit the HTML and plop this thing inside of a form. That might be the way to go about it. But then I don't really want it inside of a form for other reasons. But if I meh. I guess really that should be a label, and I should be able to put a button there that says show. Let's see, where's my other form? So how's all this stuff working out? I think I kind of did a hacky-do on this, to be honest. I'm so bad at CSS. Do any of these have something beside them? No, none of them do. Yeah, I don't know really what to do about that. It feels kind of hokey. I want this to have probably a width of 600. Form style. Let me go check this out. What can we do? Style width 100%. Okay, I like that. And then I could probably do the same thing with this text area. Instead of doing calls and rows like this, what if we do style width 100%? And I think we still do want, was it rows equals, say, 2. Or maybe 3. Just enough. But see, now the 100% is over 100%. We've gone over unity. This is one of the things about CSS I don't like. How did we go over unity? How? How do you go over unity? 100% should definitely not... It should calculate 100% of the available area after the margin has been accounted for. This is just ridiculous to me. I just don't know how this could go so wrong. Just really... That seems rather odd, because I didn't put... Oh, that was because I was dragging it around, right? Okay. I wonder what I can do. Yeah, this is one of the age-old problems. But I hear you can use flex, or you can use grid, or you can use something. I even had a demo of it. I just didn't... Somebody was gracious enough to give me a demo of it, and I saved it somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that is. Okay, so we've got some rems for padding. So the question is, text area here, it's over unity. I set the width to 100%, and then it's more than 100%. So in my mind, if there's a margin set here and a margin set here, then 100% should be 100% of the area that is available to be used. It should not be 100% of the area if there were no margin and no padding. It should be 100% of the area where the area has margin and padding. There is a rule about how to do this that maybe this person is not following. See, what if we didn't have padding? Then it makes no difference at all. That's crazy. How is it possible for 100% to be what? This is wrong, people. Okay. All right. Oops. I want to say 100%, and 100% should mean, okay, there's some padding over here, there's some padding over here, so you can only take up the area that's available to take up. That's what I want 100% to mean. Let me just look this up real quick. HTML, CSS, 100% width minus padding. Maybe I need to use this calc. Yeah, this is my problem. This is my problem right here. Box sizing content box. What? Width 100%. Maybe this is it. So this is only let's try that out and see how this works. I have a feeling that it's not going to work, but we'll check it out. Okay. And maybe this would work too. Maybe I could do calc var 100% and find out what these vars are for the padding or the margin or something. I don't know. But let's try this first. Edit as HTML. We're going to go back to width is 100%. And, not what I wanted to do. We're going to paste in here box sizing border box. And let's see if that works. Hey! Did that work? Nobody knew that. That's interesting that when I'd asked this, maybe I asked it in a bad way, but nobody Nobody knew that. Anyway, this seems like this should be the default behavior. What happens? What will it mess up if I just say star? Box sizing, border box. Let's see how badly that breaks everything. Doesn't look like it breaks anything. When would you ever want the other behavior? When would that ever be desirable? Okay, let's see here. Form should be width 100%. Text area in general should be width 100%. Passphrase. This should be a label. this should not have columns. Oh, and I should wrap that in a form, of course. But then I need to make sure that this is type equals button. And really, I don't even want that. Really what I want this to be is ref that, well, I want it to be, it is going to be a button, but I want it to be a button that looks like a link. So this is one of those cases where you know what else we need? We need to define what a small button is. Hold on, let me go back a little bit. So if type is equal to button, we're going to put it in a form. Let's do small button is going to be, do we have button sizes calculated something something? Oh yeah, you could totally see the sun line. Yeah, it's here. Let me give you, this is the link right here. That should have gone in. You might want that behavior if you're purposefully trying to make things look stacked. I don't know. Why? No, because if you wanted things to be stacked, you still don't want over unity. You still don't want something to be wider than 100%. You'd want things to be able to go up to 100%. All right, let me see. What do we know about button? We know that it's too big, but why? Border radius, display, font weight, margin, padding. Yeah. There's kind of an obsession with way too much white space in design right now. Okay, that margin, just way too much padding. And do we have small is defined somewhere already. So really what I want, if it's a small button, what I want it to do is kind of to inherit from small. Essentially anything that is small. It'd be nice if it would just take over from whatever small is, but we need I need to see the variable for that. Let me see if I can do, in this section here, I'm going to say edit as HTML, and I'm just going to add a small. There we go. Just so I've got something I can look at and see, is this a variable? Small has a color. This font size is smaller. Is that really? Is that a thing? And I really like the idea that basically you shouldn't use margin. Margin is a code smell. If you're using margin, you're doing it wrong. Okay, that didn't work the way that I thought it was going to work. So should small be on the outside or on the inside? I think it should be on the outside because we want small to apply to the button. Okay. So why is this not working out for me? Oh, I did the wrong buttons. Well, I did not do the wrong button small per se. Oh, that's a little too small. So that one, there does need to be some padding there. Let's go ahead and small button. I don't know what the padding needs to be. It's probably in the realm of padding left, padding right. I don't remember what the way you specify which one comes first. That did not have. Oh. Okay, let me try this. What if I do padding? Whoops. And we set this thing. Did I get to 0 and 2px? 2px and 0. So is the first one top bottom and the second one is left right? That's how it works. We just do 2px all the way around and that's going to be fine. Or maybe 0.25 rem. That looks good. 0.25 rem. Let's call it that. Padding. 0.25 rem. Zero 0.5. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm hearing you about the suggestion. Wait, how did it get to? Okay, so we got a potential problem here. Check this out. So if I do the GitHub sign in, it leaves me here. I think there's a case that I didn't account for. So first I'm going to go deal with that button. If I can find it. And I think what I'd like to do what's the semantic way to do this? I don't want to deal with that right now. So there's something I want to deal with, which is if the hash change, so if not name, let me do this. Tab dot set to first. Tab dot set to first. And then we can do this over here and return. Okay. So let's see if I refresh this and then I go to GitHub sign in. Hash change. That's weird. init from template. Oh, okay. I know what I need to do here. So if there's not a name, if there's not a data UI for this, if not dot length return console dot warn something else took over the hash routing. No, that's not what I wanted. If not data UI, let me do it this way, equals name. And then I should say what name is. Okay, there we go. So let me refresh. Let's log in. So it didn't initialize, it seems like. I'm a little confused about that. Because it did a replace state rather than a change state. So I think we need to do tab. I guess we need to do tab hash change, maybe. You have to think about that one. Okay, let me check on the comments here. Check it. Yeah, I did see your padding suggestion. Okay, but I can't use these. Why can I not use these? Why? What failure occurred? All right, something took over the hash routing. What about set to first? Okay, I'm really confused as to why this didn't work, because it seems that console.log replaced debug, replaced history state. Okay. And then set to first should happen. Debug set hash to location dot hash. So it very much seems like that should be active. Sign in, refresh, and then what happened? Something else took over the hash routing. We don't do anything with it. We got our bespoke tokens, blah, 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 blah. I'm very confused here. Oh, this was init from template. Oops. Okay, I see. This is not even the same thing. I'm barking up the wrong tree here because I've got too much code in one file and I need to separate it out a bit. But that all said, temp refresh. Query string, parse. Huh. Where's my location being set? It's being set on sign in, maybe? History. Blah. History replace history push state. So sign in. That's where I need to look at this. History.push state. Okay. So this is where I think this causes the hash change to not fire is the problem. So let me do that. Oh, hello. See, somebody else joined in. I'm just kind of fumbling my way through some... basically, I'm trying to create a poor man's router, and I'm going to regret it. Client-side browser hash routing. Okay, so this is going to... It's just going to drop the hash, but it's not going to get the hash change event, so then I'm going to have to manually fire hash change. So to do, fire hash change event synthetically. I don't know. And to be more clear, in the DOM. Via the DOM. Because it should be an idempotent action. If the hash didn't actually change, then no harm should come of making the hash change. Okay, let's do the GitHub sign in. Oh, and by the way, feel free to tell me who you are, where you're from, what prompted you to join the stream. Oh, yeah, it worked this time. All right, so that's what it needed. And, you know, I love the chit chat. Will and I are having a little chat here. I'd be happy to have you join in as well. Is all this contained in app.js? No. All of the stuff, all of this that you see is contained in app.js, except for the login and logout is contained in some other places. But I'll refactor this later. There's still some things that I don't feel like I have understood well enough to refactor. But what I see this being is a blog.js that has blogs and posts, a router.js that has the tab management, and an auth.js, and then a couple of dependencies like the passphrase. Anyway, so here we have our passphrase, and it is presently hidden. So I want that when I click show, that it should show it. So I need to add an event handler onto that. But that's going to be, see, that's an entirely different thing. So now I'm going to have our settings. I probably should call this config. I don't know what I should call it. I'm going to call it settings for right now. So basically, I'm just building out some poor man's controllers. And this is not where it's ultimately going to live. Oh, thanks. Have a good one. Adios. And then see. What in the world does one have to head out for at 1 a.m.? If it's a family emergency or something, I don't need to know. Godspeed. Let's see, settings. Yes. So I'm kind of playing around with creating my own style here. So, for example, settings dot show passphrase event. I don't know that I should have represented href that way. I guess that works. Anyway, so I'm kind of coming up with my. I've wanted to create a front end framework, but I'm not particularly skilled in the ways of the front end problems to really be able to do that. But this is kind of lending itself towards my attempt. I'm writing. It's not entirely spaghetti code, but it's not entirely not spaghetti code. There's definitely some pieces that are done really well. There's definitely some pieces that are pure spaghetti. But the point being, I'm trying to figure it out. How I'd like to figure out how to have something that has some of the, dare I say, benefits of React, but also some of the benefits of Angular, and none of the drawbacks of having to do build steps or any of that. And I don't know if that's possible, but I think just with regular HTML, we have click handlers on regular HTML, so I can use things like that. I'm not quite clear on how to go about doing something that simulates data binding, but I think onClick is pretty clear. Something needs to be updated. So I think we'll see. I probably won't get into a full frameworky thing. It'll probably just be fairly simple code that looks like DOM. But if I could get it just a touch abstracted to be kind of Alpine JS-ish, that might be the middle ground I'm looking for. Anyway, so here I'm going to show the passphrase. Now this is going to know about the passphrase. Let me do, I think I have this in sign-in, local storage. Things are starting to get into places where they shouldn't be. Oh well. So that's encryption key. Unfortunately, I've already done some stuff wrong here. I guess I can just delete and redo, but then I have to delete it on the server as well. Anyway, so let's do let bytes is equal to, so this is actually base 64. And I think this is true base 64 at the moment. Let me see what it looks like. Local storage dot. Yeah, that's true base 64, which is good. Can we call A to B on an empty string? Can we call B to A on an empty string? We can. So empty strings work on these. Great. So we're going to go alpha to binary. Or maybe we should just use, the text encoder doesn't have a base 64 option. So we're going to go do alpha to binary. And then I think we just map it, if I remember correctly. It's just char and then return char code at. I think that'll do it. Let me just pull this out and put it over in here. Oh, we have to do .split on anything. That looks right. So the only bit that was missing was the split. And then what we could do, if we wanted to, is we can do uint8 array.from. And we can pass it that thing, and then we can get the uint8 array version rather than the array version. But this is the... So most people do not know... Well, most people don't know JavaScript, period. But of people that know JavaScript, I would say most of them don't know that JavaScript had binary strings since the 90s. And through little hacky-doos, you could get bytes. You could create byte arrays since the 90s. But they're just difficult to work with. It's just crazy to me that they introduced text encoder and array buffer and all that, and they did not give us anything useful in terms of utilities to use them. And I repeated this on a previous stream. If you want to go watch, I think it was 2 streams ago, I talked about that a little bit, but I guess I could talk about it again. Ask me if you're interested about that. And I do need to get to bed pretty soon. So if you're going to ask me anything, ask it now or forever live in regret of your silence. By the way, who is it that's watching? Are you one of the regulars or are you somebody completely new? Because I see you. All right, so that'll work. This is really array. Maybe I should let's. The one-liners are tempting. Let me do this. Let's not have any liners. One-liners. Oops, no. That's B64. That's going to give us a benster. And then let array is equal to benster.split map charcode at. And then we'll return, well, we're not going to return anything. Then I think we've got passphrase loaded. Yeah, passphrase But we're going to have to use, I think I should maybe call it load rather than generate. To do, don't use private APIs, meaning we need to expose a new API. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Go back. There we are. New uint8 array. No, not new. uint8 array.from. It's kind of confusing. Sometimes you have to use new. If it's an array buffer, you have to use new. But if it's an array of bytes, you have to use .from. Okay, why is this being so slow? The linter is really just bleh. So there's the passphrase. And then I guess what we need, what are we looking for? We want to find the parent, which I guess in this case is the form, to do standardize controller container mabob, but we're just going to let it be the form here. And then we're going to look down into the form and find what? In this case, we're looking for just the text area, which I think is .js passphrase. And we're going to set value is equal to pass. And then we would want to change that to hide. Object promise. Don't forget to await. There we go. That should do it. Let's give this a second. Refresh. And show. Yeah. But I don't know if we actually use all this. Let's see. Huh. Oh, maybe the right thing to do would be to call it decode, not load. I think I'm going to do that real quick. I think that's about right. No, this would be encode, not decode. We're going to encode bytes. Okay. And then same thing with checksum. Actually, maybe, part of me wants to put those on the base 2048. I mean, all right, so this makes sense. So where's our checksum at? Because the checksum really should be, oh, and then I need, where's my encode function again? Because now I need to go add some documentation around here. Yeah, so now it's not appropriate, just put same as above. Now we need some real documentation. So the param is going to be array like number. This is going to be bytes. And this is arbitrary. No, it's not arbitrary. The byte form of the passphrase. Source bytes. There we go. The passphrases source bytes. The source bytes of the passphrase. The bytes to encode as a word list. There we go. And then it's going to return. Yeah, that's correct. I like that well enough. But then when we go to the checksum, what we may find is that we have to change some things here, because this is essentially going to be a decode operation that can fail. And we're going to be calling, well, let's see. When we go to get the sum bit length bytes, all right, there's a point where this can fail. Yes. We should throw on -1. Absolutely. So if index less than less than 0, throw new error. Passphrase.js unchecked decode failed due to unknown word. And then we could probably put in here what the word is. There we go. Decode failed, unknown word. There we go. get the byte representation of the passphrase. Great. So we throw, that's good. And then we're going to do the checksum. And yeah, I would say we can't decode it if it fails the checksum. That's fair. And then for here we return bytes. And then we, in checksum, would literally just await the decode. And if it doesn't throw an error, then we return true. Bad checksum. Let's go ahead and do this as well. So I think we can say check sum. Well, which one is the expected? They should be. This one is what? This is the one that we get. Which one is this? What's digits? Ah, this is a bit difficult to reason about and read. Oh well. So if we convert it all into integers, then we map over the integers, we turn them into base 11, and we get this actually would be the bit stream. I think might be a better way to call this. Or a bit string, maybe? It's a bit stream or a bit string. Bit string. I'm just going to leave it digits. I don't want to change the name of anything right now. So let's see. Oops. And then what I need to change is checksum. Okay. Let's call this expected instead. Oops. And I always like to put the more constant-ish things. On the left side. Okay, bad checksum. Expected this, but got all right, I think that's fair enough. All right, let's make sure that all the tests still pass. All tests pass. Cool. Refresh one more time for good measure. Good. And I should give it a bad checksum for good measure. That should be one of the tests too, you know? So after it does all of these tests, still, do I need to do a try catch here? No, I can just do okay, passphrase dot checksum apple 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dot catch and if error dot message, let's see, includes throw error, and then we should do another one where we do the checksum, but it's the incorrect spelling of broccoli. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll just repeat that. Well, you know what? I'll actually just do it this way instead. A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the message should include unknown. It should include word. Cool. And then just to test that the tests are testing what they test, let's make sure that the test will fail. Oh, well, that's not a good sign. Huh. Console.error. Error. All right, let's see what we get now. Okay, how is this working out? It almost feels as though okay. Oh. Forgot. I have to await those things. Silly me. Good. Let's see. All right, I'm going to put out the error message here, error.message. Let's see what we get. Good. Excellent. That's what I like to see. All right, let's see what we get for this one. Good, good, good. Excellent. Love it. All right, I'm just going to update this with checksum, encode, and decode. And I also wanted to call this one something else. The PBKDF2, that is to generate, it's not to, so we generate the random bytes, and then we use the random bytes to generate a key along with potentially something else. I would describe it kind of like an Amazon S3 bucket. You can have an infinite number of keys that are used for encryption, or wallets if you're actually using it for what it was designed for. But essentially, I kind of want to call it, instead of a salt, call it a bucket. But I don't know that that's the right thing to do yet. But in any case, PBKDF2 is just too hard to say and remember and spell and all that. PBKDF2. So I kind of want to replace this with perhaps 2key. But I don't know what it should be yet. I'll take ideas. But generate generates the word list. Checksum validates that the word list passes a checksum. I guess maybe instead of calling it checksum, maybe this should have been called validate, and checksum should be a function that gets the checksum of a word list. Or bytes. I guess it could go either way there. Encode to a word list, decode. So encode from bytes to word list, decode from word list to bytes. PBKDF2. The first argument is the words. The second argument is any other string. And so the passphrase, the word list, essentially acts as a seed for many, many different other keys. So if you have any thoughts on what I should call the function that scopes a key, you can also put an empty string, but that's the key that you actually use for the encryption. You don't use the bytes from the passphrase itself. Anyway. I need to take a look at this and see. Generate, encode, checksum, decode. I could maybe place it like that. Encode bytes. Convert an array of bytes, typically a uint8 array, into a passphrase. Convert an array of, what does it start with? 16, 20, 24, 28, or 32 bytes. Typically a uint8 array into a passphrase from base 2048 encode an array of bytes into passphrase from using base 2048 word list dictionary. There we go. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Is this right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 12. In which case, what do we get if we do that? I want to try that out and see. Oh, interesting. So let's do uint8 array.from. Yeah, let's do it this way. Bytes. Let bytes equal. There we go. Okay, I'm going to check comments. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, because... Interesting. Let me see what happens if I do this. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. That's what I got. Let me try this one more time. Copy, paste. There we go. All right, we're going to flippy do this around and do the decode. Encode a string. No. Of words from the base 2048 dictionary. That's of space delimited words from the base 2048 dictionary into a uint8 array. This will throw an error if any words outside of the dictionary, if any non-base 2048 compatible words are used, or if the checksum does not match. So let words equal this, and then decode words will be uint8 array. I think that's the right way to represent it. So let's just take this and then run the decode. And that looks right. Uint8 array 12. Uint8 array. All right, there we go. That's that. Good enough. Oh, wow. Everything changed, huh? Encode, decode. That looks good. All right. That all looks good. And all test pass. Cool. So yeah, no reason to not add all of this. Git commit -m. Will this be feature? Encode and decode base 2048 words, word lists, word strings. Yeah. npm version, this would be minor. Oh, good. npm bumps the version in the package lock as well. This is good. Very good, very good. All right, git tag, git push tags, git push, and then locally, I'm going to see if I can figure out where I might have to just go. Oh, hey, welcome to the stream. Hello. I am in the middle of doing something or other. But go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me who you are, where you're from, what your interest is in Node or the blog project I'm working on or the little encryption bits that I'm doing. I do like to have a little bit of good chat and conversation. As you can see, I was chatting with Will earlier. He's a regular on the stream. And yeah, it's nice. I'm going to go publish the new version of this real quick. Well, let me refresh again just one last time to make sure all tests pass. Yeah, okay, good. So go ahead and clone this. And then I should be able to do an npm publish. Whoops. And let me grab all right, 513, 627. Cool. So I just published a new version of passphrase.js. And now that I've done that, let me see if I can get back to whatever it was I was doing before. Okay, I wanted the decode function. Because I want it, okay, we've got the decode function, we put it in there. No, this is the encode function. And then, likewise, I guess I want to do change passphrase. I want to be able to go the opposite direction. So I'm just going to take this and then rewrite it in the opposite direction. And that should work quite nicely. Of course, it's not going to go perfectly in the opposite direction, but it's going to go pretty close. All right, so we're going to grab the value. Now, this could go poorly. So this is one of those things where I think we ought to store the more recent version of the passphrase before we change it. How could we... Okay. All right, so we're going to decode, which is going to give us bytes. So now we have exposed those. So we're going to decode the pass. And then, of course, we should trim this. And we're going to decode it. Now, if this throws, I just want to do a window.alert would be fine. And then from the bytes, we need to go the opposite direction. I think I already put this function in here. Let me go check. Buffer to base 64. Wait, why did I do it like this? It seems that I don't have to do it quite that way. I could get the bin stir and then, oh yeah, this is old. That's not necessary anymore. Yeah, I should just do the map and do the dot from there, whatever. That's not what I need to worry about right now. Right now, I'm just worried about going from buffer to base 64 and back. So I'm going to decode it, and we're going to go to base 64, buffer to base 64 over the bytes. And let's see if this is actually correct. And I think this does work. Because we're not dealing, these are all of, so binary strings in JavaScript, or strings in JavaScript can be single byte character or dual byte character strings. It's called UCS2, I think. And in the case where we're going from a buffer to a binary string, we don't have to worry about that problem. I actually also could have done reduce on this and then had the array and then array.push and then get rid of all of this. I need to go back and update my Unibabel library for modern JavaScript. There's just a few things I can get rid of. So we can call, I think we can call reduce on buff, right? I don't remember. I shouldn't be changing this. It's not important. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, so this should work. It'll give us base 64. And if we already have a key in there, then what we're going to want to do is do a backup of the key. Let's see. Current, we'll call this current 64. Okay. So if current 64 is not equal to new 64, and I just add 64 at the end of things that are base 64 encoded. So if current 64 is not new 64, then we could do new thing to ISO string and we'll set it as await passphrase.encode current 64, and I think function base 64 to buffer. Is that what we had here? I think that's what it was. we're going to call this one B64. Paste that in there. And then base 64 to buffer B64 let bytes equal. All right, so this will work. Unexpected token on line 55. Oh, I must not be done with whatever I'm doing there yet. Okay, that's fine. All right. Base 64 to buffer right here. I'll let now call it ISO now. I've started adopting this pattern. I don't remember who it was. I think it was unique name Corey Brown who showed this pattern of don't concatenate strings with the plus operator. Always use the template string operator. And I thought that was a pretty solid argument, so I've started doing it. Anyway. Okay. All right, here we go. So now we should be able to change the passphrase. I kind of want... Let me see if I can get a shorter way of doing this. First of all, I think I can just delete that stuff. All right. So let's see. If I've got that uint8 array, does it have reduce? Indeed it does. Okay. So then I can forgo all of this, and I can just call buff.reduce, and reduce is the exception, and that it allows me to give back a result that is not the same type as the buff itself was. So then I think this right here is the updated, better version of that. Let me go see if I can find my repository for the Unibabble. There it is. Update for 2021. There's some backwards compat stuff that can reasonably be removed. Here are some of the updated functions, as well as a few new tricks I've learned, like using the uint8 array version of reduce. Convert strings. All right, there we are. So now I've got that documented for later. And we definitely, we want to trim whatever value we're putting in there. And we also want to convert the white space. So I'm going to say we're going to split on basically anything. We're going to split on white space, on a hyphen, on a colon, on a comma, any of those things. And then we'll join back. Now we can filter Boolean. Then we can join back. And we can decode. And this I really want to have be toggle passphrase instead. And so we'll do is if hidden is not equal to pass, then we'll just change it to be hidden. And that's that. And then we'll have a change passphrase. Oh, and then also we could probably change the button inner text. There we go. And I'll go back. Okay. Good. And then maybe the way that I actually want to change, we'll do on key up equals and on change. Both of these will do settings dot save passphrase. But then we'll do this. All right, we're going to catch this, and where are we going to put it? We're going to have some sort of notification. We'll call it .js hint. No relation to the real JS hint. And we'll have inner text equal to e.message. That's what we'll do for now. So now I just need to go find text area. Let's do style color red. Let's see how that works out. So I'm going to show this. Oh, and I also need, okay. All right, and if it doesn't fail, then we need to remove the message. Good enough. All right. Cool, cool, cool. That's great. I love it. And then we can put here saved new passphrase. Okay, so oh. Yeah, we don't need to do, well, yeah, we do kind of need to do that dot join. Am I allowed to do a reduce that's an array? Where's app 24? 24. buffer reduce array. That's interesting. Okay, maybe I was mistaken here. So reduce can take a character, and maybe I'm getting some wrong. Oh, that's right. It needs to return the array. And I need to go update my little bitty here. There we go. Just had a little typo. Okay. Restart this. Show passphrase. Everything's going well there. And then I want to do the generate. So what I should be able to do here is delete this. I wonder. Reference error app is not defined. Oh, let's not return app, let's return array. Let's see. Save new passphrase. Huh. Interesting. I don't think that's actually happening, because if it was saving it, let's go take a look at the application and see inc key. Okay, if it was saving the new passphrase, it wouldn't be saving it every single time. So what did I do wrong here? There we go. Alrighty. All right, I think that's about right. And then after this, I'm going to call it a night. Where did cool beans? Well, now I have a way to see my passphrase, which means that I can ship it between computers. Now what I need is, let me go find out, where was I generating that thing? What I want to know is if I just got rid of my encryption key, would this all work? With a 16-byte key, 128-bit key. Raw key buff. Where's my encrypt function? Are we exporting that in any way? We ought to be. Let's call this encryption. And so encrypt object with a key. Okay, so I need to do an import key. So encryption dot encrypt object is equal to this. Encrypt object, whoops. Encryption dot. Okay, so that's good. Let me have some encryption dot decrypt. No, just decrypt is what we're looking for. Okay, so decrypt 64. Encryption.decrypt 64. Good. All right, good. Now we've got that taken care of. And now we need our import key. Encryption.import key. Encryption.import key. Encryption.import key equals. Okay. All right, now let's see if this will work. Let me refresh. And then, let's see, is the buffer function, did I put that in the global scope? Buffer to base 64, yeah. So let's see if we can do this. Buffer to base 64 temp1. That did not quite, that doesn't look right at all. Not even a little bit. I guess, no, it is right because I'm just using a repeating pattern, which is why it looks so funky. All right, so there's my base 64. That's my 128-bit key. Is that right? Not like that's 16. That seems like that's too short. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's why. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's my problem. So it should be 14, 16. This would be encode bytes. Okay. That looks a little bit better. Buffer to base 64 bytes. Okay. So we should be able to take this and use encryption.import key and say var key is equal to import key. All right, and so then we should be able to do encryption dot encrypt object and give it hello and the key. And this should be our encrypted mabob, right? Cool. And then we should also be able to await encryption.decode 64. Decode 64. What? Decrypt 64. I should have called that. Oh, whatever. Encrypt, sure. Okay, so then I need my inc 64 and my key. And then that gives me the message hello. Okay, cool. So everything works as expected. We're in a good spot. So good time for whip commit and moving on. npm install save passphrase at root passphrase. Okay, that has some merit. All right, I think I'm about done for the night. So I'm going to call this whip show passphrase begin hash router show passphrase. Cool. So not a whole lot done today, all things considered, but we've got a little router now. So we can go through different parts of the app, and we have a way to show and hide the passphrase, and we have a way to see that things are wrong. And to save a new key. This is kind of cool. So this is actually lending itself a little bit more towards another project that I have coming down the pipeline. So there's Telebit. So if you go to telebit.io, currently the version that's deployed here is written in Node.js. I have actually written this in Go as well, the tool. And I do plan on making the Go tool available. So part of what I'm doing with Bliss, and the reason I'm taking some of these tangents and things that don't seem perfectly aligned, is that a lot of what's going on with Bliss is going to make it into the next version of Telebit. And one of the purposes of Telebit is going to be encrypted communication. So earlier today, before I got on the stream, I was also looking at, I think it's called Snapdrop, snapdrop.net. You should definitely check this out. It's AirDrop, but the way that it works is that rather than discovering via Bluetooth, and by the way, AirDrop does some really crazy stuff. It tweaks the Apple hardware. It uses the radios differently for the Wi-Fi. I think it splits, I don't know exactly how to describe it. I looked up some of the technical specification for AirDrop, and AirDrop is crazy because it creates an ad hoc network between the two computers. So it doesn't have to go through your Wi-Fi in order to transfer the file. It transfers at maximum bandwidth right between the two. But that aside, the technical advantages of AirDrop aside, the convenience of AirDrop is that you find computers that are near you and you can drag and drop files to them. So the way that this works is that there is a node server that, takes the IP address and takes the IP address that is the source, and anything that is on the same IP address it considers to be together, which makes sense because from the perspective of snapdrop.net, that is my external IPv4 address is the only address that matters. So anything that has that external IPv4 address is on the same network, and then each of those things will be on a different port. And so the ports represent the different computers. So I want to use this technology for the key sharing as well. So you have a way that I can just read these off and then I can type them in on the other computer. I'd also like a way that I could somehow send them to the other computer with some discovery, but I'm not 100% sold on this one yet. The problem being is that we still have to have a way for that information to be sent between the two computers without the server intercepting it. And you can use WebRC to do this, but it's not guaranteed because the messages may go over a turn server. I think you can configure it to only use ICE and stun and to not use turn, in which case this would be okay. But I'm thinking more instead of a fun layout like this to have it more tabular. Have a little button that says discover computers near me or something like that. In any case, it would be cool to be able to, if two computers are near each other, basically just by virtue of being near each other, you see it in the list, you confirm, okay, this one's called Happy Snail, this one's called Sloppy Salmon. Yes, I want to share with Sloppy Salmon. Click a share button, and then be able to see in a table the devices that you're syncing things with. So essentially, I'm re-implementing my own version of Brave Sync, more or less, but with the guise of it being for the blog. Although that's actually true. I do. Whoops. Let's not go there. Oh, that needs to be updated. Huh. What was I going to say? I really do want these drafts to behave as encrypted messages from the perspective of they get sent encrypted to the server doesn't know anything about them. I am very sincere in that if the data is unencrypted, to share unencrypted data should be a paid feature. I don't want to have to deal with whatever stupid thing, because I've run other services, and when you don't charge for them, you get bottom of the barrel customers that are looking for free services. And those are not very good customers in terms of their behavior. Obviously, most customers are good, whether they're paid or not paid, but when you have a service that's unpaid and unverified, it does attract bottom of the barrel. And that does tend towards you having to put extra time in and potentially deal with legal issues. And I have had to deal with international police before with one of my services. And it's not a pleasant experience. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. And I've had services shut down. I've had costs skyrocket from abuse. So I really do want to, things that I build in the future, well, things that I have now, I want to get towards monetization, and then I want to expand them to be better. But I want to make things more difficult for free customers, not because I don't want people to have free stuff, but because I don't want my service to be very useful to bad actors. And I want my services and products to be very useful to good actors, so much so that throwing down, say, $5 or maybe $10 a year for the additional features that you would get with Bliss would be a no-brainer. Anyway, I'm going to head out. I'm going to wait a few more seconds for any last questions. So if you have any, go ahead and ask them now. Otherwise, we will shortly part ways. If any of this was useful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Much appreciated. If none of it was useful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, because every thumb helps. And hit the personalized recommendations button on the bell if you decide to subscribe. All that said, I'm now going to go get my Z's, as should those of you that aren't in Australia. I know I've got a lot of people that watch in Australia, but hey, by then this is in the US and still up at 2:20 a.m. We can be friends, but we know we have a circadian rhythm problem. So with all that said, I don't see any questions coming in. Adios.